Welcome to Here Where You Belong, your go-to podcast for exploring belonging, with your host and belonging expert, Dea Irby. We are thrilled to have you join us. Together, we'll dive into the depths of what it means for each of us to find our own place in the world, whether it's within our communities, our relationships, or within ourselves. Today's episode is meant to inspire, uplift, and remind you that no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. So grab a cozy spot and settle in. Welcome to Here Where You Belong.
Hello, awesome belongers. Welcome home to Here Where You Belong podcast. My guest today is someone who brings light, compassion, and dignity to some of life's hardest moments. I'm Dea, your host. Get ready to be inspired and blessed. Help me welcome our guest today, Holly Lux-Sullivan. Hey, Holly.
Hey, Dea. Thanks for
So
having
glad
me.
you could be here. Well, let me tell you a little bit more about our guest. Holly Lux-Sullivan is the founder of Heartwood, Death Doula, and Bereavement Care, where she walks alongside those facing severe or terminal illness, offering emotional and spiritual support as well as practical education. With 17 years of experience as a hospice chaplain, oh, that had to be hard. Holly has been at the bedside of our society's most vulnerable, helping people not only prepare for death, but truly live as much as possible for as long as they can. What a gift. Her warmth, compassion, and joyful spirit shine through her work, but also through her sense of belonging. Holly first learned the beauty of chosen family in college while volunteering with the Ohio University AIDS Coalition, where members of the LGBTQIA plus community embraced her as one of their own. That experience forever shaped her belief that no one should face life or death alone. Holly, any additions, subtractions, or corrections?
That was absolutely perfect. Spot on.
Okay, spot on. I like to be spot on. Well, as you know, this podcast is about belonging. And I have invited you here to share with us your belonging story or stories for how you found it, how you find it for others, and help others find belonging. So, unless I just want a clarifying question like, ooh, tell me more, what does that mean? The mic is yours.
All right, wonderful. Thank you. I think I first found belonging and continue to find belonging with friends, with chosen family, and it began in college when I had to come out to one of my gay friends as straight, and he still loved me. And it was a beautiful, funny moment back in 1995, 6, something like that. And it gave me this tiny hint into what gay people and queer people have to do, have to go through, and sort of the stakes involved for them. And the love that he continued to show me, that all my friends in the queer community continued to show me, really instilled in me this desire to support people who are struggling on the margins. And as I grew and went into the workforce, I realized that folks who are at the end of life are most marginalized. They become isolated by their illness, separated from often their houses of worship and from their community, because people get scared when somebody's really sick. And so I am able to enter a situation, and I am reminded that when I was in seminary, I had a colleague say, and he was quoting somebody that I've never been able to find the original quote, but he said, "You are part and parcel of the universe. You cannot fall off." And so what that says to me is that even in death, we belong, just as we belong in life. And so I'm able to go into a situation and help someone feel that they belong to life and to death when that time comes, that they belong to me and to their loved ones, whoever those loved ones are, and to help them feel a sense of community and belonging, even if they are stuck at home because of a suppressed immune system or because they're ill enough that they have become bedbound.
Mhm.
Um, and that is what gives me so much joy to help people feel that sense of belonging. And I find over and over what a an increased sense of belonging decreases fear.
That is, we are made to live in community and to
Yes.
find a place of belonging. So, did you um, have this within yourself sense of belonging growing up, or did you, when you were little and somebody said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" Did you ever think it would be a death doula or someone helping?
No, absolutely not. I was a journalist in my previous life, in my first career,
Okay.
and and somewhere along the
Did you write
way,
the obituaries?
I didn't, although I enjoy writing obituaries to really reflect who somebody is.
Right, celebrate. I mean,
Yes,
it's really sad when you go, but you didn't know this person. You didn't know
exactly.
this person. Yeah, so and if you're a journalist, you could have really told spun a good story there.
Right, exactly. And somewhere along my journalistic career, I got the crazy idea that I wanted to be a Unitarian Universalist minister, but I
Okay,
knew going into it that I wanted to be a chaplain because being a chaplain means being out in the world where people
right.
need you the most.
Hmm.
And so I was a hospice chaplain for many, many years, and that was really where I learned. I had been done my training as a chaplain in hospitals and loved that work. And then this hospice position came open, and happily, by the time I was in that position, the I had gone into chaplaincy and ministry in the early aughts thinking I will be with folks primarily with HIV AIDS who are dying. Well, happily, by the time I was in chaplaincy training, we had had so many developments in medication. Folks with HIV and AIDS are living for decades and decades. That is
Right.
not the primary population that needs me.
It's not the plague like it was.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And so I went into hospice chaplaincy and saw how marginalized people of all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds with all kinds of illnesses become when we're sick and realized that my lack of fear around illness, around
Mhm.
dying, my ability to be with people and sit in uncomfortable situations where there's no right thing to say, that really is a
Sometimes
gift.
just being is
That's
what we need
exactly
to
it.
say. Well, so had you had a close relative or anyone you knew that had passed away that you had dealt with that before?
That's what's funny. No, not at all. My embarrassing but true origin story of even why I got involved in the Ohio University AIDS Coalition to start with is that there was a TV show in the mid 90s called Life Goes On.
Uh-huh.
And it had one of the main characters was a young man who had Down syndrome. And his sister in the TV show was in love with a boy, they were 17 or 18, I don't remember, who had gotten HIV AIDS from a blood transfusion. This is all fiction, mind you, right? But seeing what this fictional character with HIV AIDS went through, I decided when I went to school and went to the, involvement fair for freshmen, and there
You
was
were
an
an ambassador.
exactly. Exactly. And it is the silliest. I had not had a loved one on hospice growing up. I had no real connection to kind of end of life care, but that TV show got me into the AIDS Coalition and that got
You
me
know,
into the
if you're
queer
supposed to
community.
do something, there's going to be a way you're going to be inspired to do it.
Yes.
So actually, that may be a blessing in the fact that you don't have all these recurring memories of the pain of being with someone. You can just
Yes.
come with your clean slate and offer a healthy approach. Why do you think that people that you're reaching out to help, why do you think other people don't? What's going on?
I think most people believe there is a right thing to say to somebody who is very sick. And honestly, when I was in seminary, when I took my first pastoral care class that was about supporting people in difficult times, I was ready to write down, what do I say to somebody who has cancer? And I was so mad that they didn't tell me what to say, right?
They
Because
didn't.
it is
There is a
about
book exactly what to say, but I don't think that's what you need in these times.
exactly. It is about being with somebody. It is about sitting quietly and letting them cry or letting them laugh, letting them rage if they need to rage. And
Mhm.
so it's much less about what to say and more about letting them say it or not, you know?
Letting them be heard
Yes.
and seen. Because
Yes.
really, that's what we desire out of belonging. We want to find a place where we can be seen and we can be heard.
Yes. In our
And
full humanity.
yes, and you are providing that. So, do you have any that you can share? Funny stories about this that you'd like to share with us on this
Well, there
sad
are
subject?
sure, there are that, and that is one of the things that I try to persuade people of, that there are funny and light moments even during times of illness, right? And so the classic story that I will tell is very simple, and that is I actually was not even part of this. One of my nurse friends told me about it. She had gone to visit a client, a patient who was sick, and it was an older woman in her 80s or 90s who was being taken care of by her grandchildren. And, often this particular patient was bedbound. So her grandchildren were having to change her and clean her and those sorts of things. And there was a box or one of the round kind of tubs of Clorox wipes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
And on the top of the tub of Clorox wipes in black Sharpie, it said, "Not for Granny's ass." And we just pray that that was not learned the hard way.
Yeah. Like, oops, okay.
Exactly.
Oh, bless her heart.
Yeah, yeah, that was exactly our reaction. Bless her soul, let her not have had to tell them, no,
Had to,
no, that's the wrong
yes,
ones.
yes, yes. Um, yeah, it's amazing what when people are faced with death, sometimes it's like, well, they're gonna, well, like my my mom was a lovely, wonderful, talented, beautiful person.
Mhm.
She was not on time very often. And my dad would joke forever, your mother's gonna be late for her own funeral.
Yes.
Well, the doctors told us she was going to pass away on Monday.
Mhm.
She waited till Wednesday just to prove that she was going to be
Yes.
late for her own funeral.
Yes.
But so when you're giving someone care
Mhm.
like you do, does it just make the process more pleasant, or does it sometimes make it a longer process? Or
I
is it just doesn't it's.
I think there's no way of knowing if it makes it a longer process. I can say that what I've seen time and time again is that the more socialization and care someone receives when they are dealing with a terminal illness, the better off their journey is because they feel like they belong. And also, the kind of converse of that is that when someone's time to die is coming, they are withdrawing into themselves and they are kind of going inward in this way that we can only affect a little bit. By which I mean, I was taught that if we are singing to someone as they are dying, if they are actively trying to leave their body, we shouldn't sing songs that they are familiar with because that can help hold them to the earth and to their body.
You need to
And
let them release them.
yes,
I've heard stories of the children of their parents saying, "It's okay, you can
yes,
go," and it does make a
absolutely.
difference.
It does. And we have seen time and time again, because on TV, when someone dies, it's the children say, "It's okay, we'll be okay, you can go." And the person takes their last breath immediately, right?
Right.
And the reality is it can take days or weeks, and doctors can guess how long someone has, and they are wrong 99% of the time. None of us know,
Right.
you
Right.
know. And that includes me. I've been at the bedside of a client and thought, oh, she'll go this evening. And she stayed until the very next morning. We can't, that is between them and their higher power or the universe, however they think about it. And it is this separation from this life going into wherever they are going, however they conceive of it, and hopefully feeling that they are going from one place of love and safety to another place of love and safety.
Wow. So I'm thinking of people that maybe have outlived all the people they know, and there's nobody left.
Mhm,
But they're also, as transient as the world is now,
mhm.
maybe everybody's really far,
Right.
and you don't you can't, and you're working and involved in your life, and you can't be there until let me know when the last time, when the
Right.
last minute is right. It was 5 minutes ago, or it's any minute now, and then it's a week later, like you just
Mhm.
said. You can't. So it's fabulous that you are available to help
Yes.
people this way. Are there, is there a, I don't know, a group of people, what you would call it, an organization that trains people in this way? Or if someone was interested in doing the work you do, what would
Mhm.
they do?
There are many places that train death doulas, and the doulas are not regulated by anyone. So each doula training school is a little bit different. Um, and because I come to it with so much experience already, it's hard for me to even say whether the school I went to get my doula certification is good or bad, because I kind of knew everything they were
Already
teaching
there.
me.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Um,
I'm auditing it. No. Uh,
right.
so you do need to be certified.
Yes,
Well, I
yes.
guess, I mean, you can offer it, but I guess if you want to get paid, are there regulations or?
That's the thing. There aren't right now. And so it is, and having worked in the world of hospice for so long, which is all about regulations and standards and protocols, it was very jarring for me when I became an independent death doula, because there the lack of regulations means there's not
Nobody's
safety net.
watching me.
Exactly.
I can
And
do it how I want. What?
which
There.
Yes, which is wonderful. It means that I can spend as much time as I want with my clients
Mhm.
because I don't have an enormous caseload. But it also means, on the downside, that clients don't necessarily have somebody to go to if I've done something that they have a problem with
Right.
and I
They
can't,
wouldn't, of course, for you, but
which
for
I wouldn't, of
yeah, sure.
course. But if I can't repair that,
Yeah.
there isn't a doula oversight board. So for me, I'm a board certified chaplain, so they could go the route of
Right.
addressing the Association of Professional Chaplains to say,
What's the difference? What have you seen in the difference in your operation of being a hospice death person and being independent? What do you see as the difference besides being able to spend more time with your own client?
genuinely, in terms of how I function, there are kind of two big things. One is simply that time piece, but the other is access, because doulas are not covered by medical insurance or Medicare or Medicaid. So somebody who has hospice care that is covered by Medicaid, awesome. I, as a chaplain working for a hospice, could go and support them. But doula care is not covered by any of those things. So if you can't afford to pay a doula, you don't necessarily have access to it. So what I do, what many doulas do, is say, I have the capability to take on X number of pro bono clients and or offer a sliding scale fee for folks who need that. But really, access and caseload, and therefore time, are really the two big differences in how I function. And honestly, people, when you go in with the title of chaplain, people make assumptions about what you believe and what you are there to do.
Right.
And because people don't have much familiarity with death doulas, it's a lot more, okay, what are you here for? Right?
Yeah.
So
What
prac
does the word doula actually mean? The word doula.
it is a Latin word that regrettably means she who serves.
Oh,
Now,
because you have doulas for birth doulas.
exactly. And we have long thought about giving birth, delivering a baby as labor, because it is work.
Yes.
And if you've been with somebody who is dying from a terminal illness, you know that dying is work too.
Yes.
And so birth doulas help on the beginning end of the life spectrum, and end of life and death doulas help on the other end of life spectrum.
Right. I can't get this horrible joke out of my mind. I
Oh,
know
please.
people are dying for your business, right?
If it makes you feel any better, I have stickers that say love you to death.
Okay. Well, it really is. I mean, you need to be ready, but it's going to come.
Right.
And you can't be ready if it's not a there's an advantage to being terminally ill or being so old that all your organs are shutting down because you know it's coming.
Yes, there is the ability to prepare.
You can, yes, yes.
And I will say, now I personally have not had this happen, but I have known doulas who had people in midlife come to them and say, I'm perfectly healthy as far as I know, but I'm really scared about death and dying. Can you help me work through some of that? So, even if we don't have a terminal illness, if you're struggling with your mortality, there may be some benefit to sitting down with a doula and kind of talking through some stuff.
Sure.
But the experience of terminal illness does offer the time to work through some things.
Right, right. Oh, wow. This is so amazing. We're going to take a break here from having with our guest here, Holly Lux-Sullivan, and we'll be right back. Hey there! Isn't my guest amazing? So glad you joined us today. In this world that often feels disconnected, building community and fostering belonging are essential. That's why I created this podcast to bring inspiring people to you, to encourage you to create that sense of belonging and community, no matter where you are. If you're being blessed by my guest, and we have some more, like, subscribe, and share this podcast. You know who needs to hear this. Stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember you belong. Now, back to our amazing guest. And we're back with my lovely guest, Holly Lux-Sullivan, today. And if you've seen any of the episodes, you know I have my 3 favorite questions to ask. And let's throw them out to Holly. First question: what do you consider is your greatest accomplishment?
It is twofold. It is being somebody that others know they can come to for care and support, kind of big picture. And more intimately, it is being loved by my husband and my 4 closest girlfriends, who are some of the most amazing people I have ever known and will ever know. And I am so blessed to have this little chosen family around me.
Well, I have a feeling, to have a friend, you have to be a friend. So
Yes.
I think you probably are a collector of awesome people because you're awesome.
That is my hope, at least. Yes.
Is this is this what you've had your whole life? Did you have a best friend growing up?
I did, and then in high school it became, I still had 1 or 2 really close friends, but it became a little bit more of a group. And then kind of similarly in college, and then my friend group now, my 4 closest friends are my college roommate. We got thrown together in 1994 and have been friends for 31 years now. And she knows all the deep, dark secrets from childhood that we shared freshman year. Um, two
So you
friends
had to
that
stay
I,
close to make
yes,
the
exactly. I can,
secrets to get out. You had to stay close.
yes, yes. And then two of my friends that I made at my second paper that I worked at. So we've been friends for 25 years. I moved to North Carolina in 2000, and the three of us got to be friends. And then the fourth, my most recent friend acquisition,
Okay.
um, yeah, is we figured out we've been friends, I think about 9, maybe 10 years. So my four closest girlfriends have been with me all for a long while. And my husband and I have been together for 24 years and celebrating our 20th anniversary in October of 25.
All right.
Yeah.
Yay. So what's the secret
Mm.
to having good friends and being a good friend?
I think for me at least, it is being honest and laughing together and being able to share both laughter and fun and delight and the really hard stuff, the crying in the middle of the night, feeling like your world is ending. Both of those things are really important to me. That to me is what makes a dear, dear friend is somebody who can experience and hold both of those things with me.
Mhm.
That's the key.
Do conflicts come up?
They do. I feel I feel like it's less as we get older. I don't know if that's
You
gonna
learn
hold
not to
true.
sweat the small stuff and everything
Yeah.
small stuff.
Yeah. And but as in any relationship, friendships have issues that come up, and so you have to figure out how to deal with them and navigate them. And I think the four friends that I am closest to now have taught me too that one friend doesn't have to be your be all end all, right? That I go to friend A for this kind of concern and friend B for this kind. And you
Mhm.
kind of get to know what people are best at in terms of support and care. And so it's kind of creating a mosaic of people to support you and for you to give support to.
That's true. That, yes. Well, you're recognizing their zone of genius,
Yes. Yes.
not their zone of incompetence and your zone of competence.
Right.
Even their zone of excellence. That might be good, but what is that special element that they have that they can offer that enriches them?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's cool. So going back to your journal, did you have any accomplishment in the journal world, or did you have a story you were especially proud of, or an article?
I think, well, primarily I was behind the scenes as a copy editor and page designer. I did some reporting and writing, so I could and did do that, but my primary career was in copy editing and page designing. But a headline that I was particularly proud of years ago, and it's embarrassing, but it was after the movie Snakes on a Plane had come out.
Yes.
And on the business page, we were running a story about some airline rolling out a fancy new, like upgraded food service. And I wrote the headline, Steaks on a Plane.
Smart, clever. I love it. Love it. Steaks on a plate.
Silly, just silly.
You got to be aware. You got to go with it and do it.
Yep, yep.
I love that. All right. Second question. And I think we kind of have sort of understood all this, but what makes you feel like you belong?
Mm. It is the highs and lows and being able to share both, like we were talking about, the laughter and the tears and everything in between, and being able to be my best self and my worst self with somebody.
Yeah, I think if you can be comfortable enough to let your hair down
Yep.
and know that you're still loved,
Yes.
um, yeah, that's a rare find.
It is. It
Uh,
is.
as a Christian, I go back to because some days I'm and I
Mhm.
think, you know what? There is nothing I can do to make God love me anymore,
Yes.
and there's nothing I can do to make God love me any less.
That's exactly it.
And that's what you're talking about with your, with your friends and to know, and that's where we know we belong because
Right.
Well, nobody's going to kick us out.
Exactly. And, I've heard people who write about friendship talk about the fact that friendships are a unique relationship in that we are not born into them, and we do not, stand before an altar and all of our friends and declare our forever love for them and have it signed in the court and all of that. Friendships are made up of people who just keep showing up for each other over and over.
Mm-hmm.
And they have every option in the world not to. There is nothing tying us together
Right,
but the relationship itself.
right. And that is what it means to belong, to be
Yes.
there with and offer it because you
Yes.
offer it. That's why your friends stick around.
Absolutely.
Also accept them. What is, my third question, what is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote stems from the first newspaper I worked at when my copy desk chief, bless his soul, he was probably 40s, 50s at the time, and he was in charge of a bunch of mid 20s just fools, He
Fresh out
should
of
be,
college.
yes, exactly. He needed to be sainted. So he kind of rode herd on us. And one day we were all sitting around our desks working whatever, and the conversation came up, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? So we were all talking about invincibility and flight and laser vision and all those things. And this was very much in his who he is. He wrote something on a little, tore a piece of paper off a sheet and wrote something on it and just silently slid it across the desk to me. And it said, "Your superpower is your heart." And I don't know how he saw that when I was 22 and an idiot, but he knew something about me that I didn't. And I have held that for years and years now.
So he said that only to you. And
That
each
was,
person was
yeah.
saying what they thought their superpower was. Well, that's like going back to what I just mentioned about your zones.
Hmm.
It's been sort of designed or figured out that you should delegate for sure. If you're trying to do things you're incompetent. Like, don't
Yes,
ask me to put in a new toilet. Okay.
sure.
Yeah. Competent. Okay. I could design a website. It would look like somebody that didn't have a graphic degree designed
Right.
it. Excellence. Well, those are when you're getting on up there, but
Hmm.
when you break through that ceiling of excellence and it's your zone of genius, and I
Yeah.
believe he was spot on when you were in your 20s that your zone of genius is your heart, and that's how you're able to be so successful as a death doula and a bereavement counselor,
Thank
um,
you.
because that is your zone of genius. That's why you have your four fabulous, the fabulous four
Yes,
plus one.
yes.
You got to count
And
your husband.
I just love that he saw something I didn't, and that I held on to that little scrap of paper. I wish I still had it somewhere. It
Oh, I
it
was going to ask,
disappeared.
do you still have it?
I
It should be
don't. I held
great.
on to it for several years, and I wish I did have it to, like you said, to frame it, because he saw something I didn't know. He knew more than I did, and I just treasure that. Your superpower is
Where
your
is he
heart.
now? Is he still around?
He is not, unfortunately. Just a few years after I moved away from that job, he died, and I can't remember how now. I think he may have drowned. He was a surfer, and
Oh
I think he
no.
may have drowned. Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, but he was a dear, dear man, and certainly is with me every day because of that.
We talked about a funny story, but is there a very memorable story that you could share?
Mm. I go straight to a patient who had his 60th birthday while he was on our hospice care, and he had decided that his cancer had returned. He wasn't going to do any of the chemo and all that stuff. He was going to live as much as he could for as long as he could and then be done. And the morning that he died, the nurse that I was working with him called me, said, "He's gone. We got to go." Went straight to his house and were with his wife and other family members as they came and went for half the day and helped bathe his body. and helped his wife say goodbye to his body when it was time for it to be taken away. And it was it is always so sacred to help physically care for someone's body after they die. And he was somebody that I had just grown particularly close to. And so that morning that we spent with him and with his wife really um, stays with me, because I don't know that I've ever spent, when I was in hospice care, spent that long with a family after a death.
Mm.
And so that was one that stood out, because it was what that particular wife and family needed, you know.
Right, right.
Um, and so he stays with me for sure.
Wow. Well, it is definitely revealing your superpower. I don't know how many people could do what you do, and maybe not too many people are supposed to,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
only the people that have a heart for a superpower should be doing that.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Well, before we close, do you have any parting words for our listeners, like how to get in touch with you, or any resources you have, or what they should remember from our conversation?
Sure. Well, folks can go to my website, which is heartwooddeathdoula.com. Heart like heart is a
Like
superpower.
your superpower?
Yep. Wood, like wood of a tree, heartwooddeathdoula.com, and find out more about me, about my background and experience and training, as well as learning about the services that I offer. And I would just encourage folks to remember that we will all go through this at some point, and that if someone you love is going through a severe illness or a terminal illness, most often just being with them is the most important thing. You don't have to know the right words to say, because there aren't any right words. It's just being with them and loving them.
Letting them know they belong.
That's right.
Yes. Well, to our amazing guest, Holly Lux-Sullivan, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you so
sharing
much.
your heart. And to our listeners, belongers, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember you belong. This is Dea Irby with Here Where You Belong podcast signing off. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Hear Where You Belong. We hope today's episode has inspired you to embrace the beauty of belonging in your own life. Remember, no matter where you are or where you're headed, you have a place where you truly belong. Join us again next time for more insightful conversations and heartwarming stories. Until then, stay connected, stay true to yourself, and always remember that you belong.